One of the craziest realizations you will come to some point in your life will be you are a product of everything you consume. Not only is it your diet, the videos you watch, the music you listen to, the people you go to for advice, everything that comes into your body, comes into your ears, your different senses, it all shapes you into the way you think, and that ultimately is the person you become. It influences the way you act, the way you believe, the way you think, the way you dream. It is just so much that pours into the person you currently are, the way that you are thinking, and basically where you will be in the future. The first aspect that you need to really take control of is your diet. I know it's not always going to be probable and possible for you to consume the best quality diet, because there are going to be moments in life where you just don't either have the time or you don't have the money, or the situation just isn't appropriate for it. If you are celebrating somebody's birthday and it's a very good family friend and that family spent so much money on that cake, you know, it's a double chocolate ice cream cake, has somebody's signature name on it and everything. They blow out the candles and they start hanging out slices. You will look so bad if you do not take that slice of cake and eat it. Even if you ask or you negotiate down for a smaller slice, which is still does look kind of bad, but it isn't as bad. But if you don't eat any cake at all, that family will look at you in a negative spotlight, and it might hurt a relationship that was very strong. They spent a lot of money on it, and you are just kind of wasting that money that they put towards the cake because you aren't eating any. So in situations like that, it might just be better for you to take the cake, and even if you don't eat all of it, at least have some. You have to put in a faithful effort into enjoying the cake, and maybe try to split it with somebody that's already there because, you know, you want to be a little healthier. But in situations like that, you have to just kind of go against what you are normally accustomed to. Or if you're out at a networking event and they spent such a big budget on food, right? And they bought all the goodies. They got chicken wings, they got French fries, burgers, hot dogs. And you're there from that networking event from 12 noon to 8 or 9 p.m. And they carry out all the food at one time. So they'll line up the different entrees and appetizers. And they're probably not going to be the healthiest options. They're not going to be the most calorie effective food items, but if you don't eat anything during that duration of the event, you're going to be super hungry and you're going to lack focus on whatever's being presented to you, and you're going to miss out on networking with high quality humans that can develop relationships for years to come. That is another huge disservice you would be doing to yourself. So it would be in your best interest to eat what is available, and maybe just eat a smaller portion of it, because that way you are mingling, you don't look out of the ordinary, and it's just a better contribution you put out to the events. The hosts will appreciate you more, and you will be more effective during the event. Because if you're just trying to run on an empty stomach, that's going to blur out some thoughts, and it's just not going to make that event worth your time anymore. You would have been better off just skipping the event and not showing up at all and using your time elsewhere. But you decided to get ready, you put in a couple miles on your car to get to your event. You're here now, make the most of it, and sometimes you're going to have to improvise. And if you're going slightly off your diet, it's not going to harm you too much in the long run. Just know you can't maintain this diet forever, but your diet throughout the rest of your life, or your diet throughout your common days, should be so strict and so routine that you can afford to have these cheeseburgers out at networking events. You can afford to have these greasy appetizers. That way, you're not being a nuisance to the event. You're not being like a party pooper per se. You're enjoying your time there, and you're getting the most out of the experience. You worked hard to be able to enjoy that experience, so while you're there, you have to make the most of it. Meal prep throughout your weeks, but always have that designated day for these types of events where you can splurge a little bit on yourself. You know, just have a little bit of fun. I know it's hard when you know how unhealthy these items are, but just enjoy it. And as long as you don't do it every day, it's not going to make a drastic effect on your progress. Number 2, the videos and educational stuff that you consume, it is the most time extensive activity that you probably put your mind under in terms of either going to work or if you're still in school. The amount of time your brain is just being pounded with information on different classes, different sciences, whatever subject you're learning in school, your brain needs to actually be using that effectively. Otherwise, it's going in one ear out the other. And you can pick the teacher that your class is being held up under. It's important to have the best quality professors because you're going to spend hours every week with this professor. You're doing yourself a huge disservice by not choosing the best one that's going to make an actual impact on you, your future, and even your kids' future. You have to actually be able to pay attention and enjoy your time in this lecture session. You shouldn't be getting the farthest seat away from the professor because you just don't like the way they talk and you just want to go on your phone. You have to be locked in the entire duration. And in order to make that possible, you have to choose a professor that not only suits your time, but suits the way you learn as a student. If he is really good at teaching, but the way the professor teaches is like super fast, you learn on your own, but that's just not how you learn. You need to learn by looking at big boards with everything drawn out step by step, explained to detail. You can't be under that professor. You have to go with the best professor for yourself, and you gotta kind of just get a sense of the learner you are and just match that with the most appropriate professor. Every match is different, so don't feel odd or don't feel ashamed if your match for your professor isn't the same as your friends or as majority of the people. And I know that's such a heavy influence on us that we just want to take classes with our friends just so that way it's easier. You know, if I don't know how to do the homework, my buddy will just give me the answers. But ultimately, your future is something you need to take care of. You got to prepare for it, and you got to make the best choices now so your future can be optimized. And in order to do that, the best way to start off with is where you spend a lot of time learning, and that is in the classroom. For most of you guys watching this are probably still in college or leaving high school, about to enter college. So choose professors that you know have been given a reputation for accommodating different learning styles, or just read the reviews on Rate My Professor, and you'll be able to understand based off those reviews left by previous students if this professor is going to be a good fit for you. The next one would be definitely the music you listen to. I know we love to listen to all these mainstream musics, and we love to have very heavy beats blasting in our ears in the gym, and I love that too. I love going to the gym and blasting music, but the music I listen to in the gym should not be the same music I either study to or I wake up to. You have to be appropriate in your music selection. Your music choices for being soothing and calming and doing guided meditation cannot be heavy hardcore metal or rap. That's just not going to flow with the proper setting and get you ready for the activity you're about to do. I noticed a big change in my life when I stopped blasting gym music before going to classes. I would previously drive to school and I'd blast some sort of heavy rap, and I noticed by the time I got into the classroom, my mind was just replaying that song consistently over and over and over again. I would be trying to learn statistics, but all I hear is rap music in my head, and it'd be very difficult for me to pay attention for extended periods of time. So I realized that by not playing music before, or if I did play music, it would have to be a different selection or a different genre, and then that way I would be able to prepare myself for the next task that was coming up, which would be learning statistics. And my mind was a lot more open. I was able to actually learn, pay attention, and grasp the information that was being presented to me. I was able to actually be present in the moment and not have anything kind of distract me away from the information that was being taught to me. A lot of you guys, I see this all the time. You will be walking into a lecture hall with your headphones in, blasting music so loud that I can hear it from 2 doors behind you. When I'm trying to enter the building and I see you walking into the lecture hall, I can hear you blasting your music. First of all, that's horrible for your ears. Your music cannot be playing that loud. And second of all, it's not the setup you want to have before you go into an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour lecture of just knowledge being spewed at you. You need to be in there with a open mind, calm, relaxed. You can't be all super jittery or super hyped up, because that's not going to help you retain the information. If you want to listen to your music and have your headphones in, it needs to be when you're going to the gym, when you're having that super hard intensive cardio session that's coming up, because your body needs that to be motivated and just rip through that session. But it's such a different environment in a classroom than a gym setting. So if you do walk in playing music, it should be soft music. It should honestly just be like the beats of the song. You don't even need to have any lyrics in it. Just have stuff that can soothe your soul and just prepare you for what's next. And most guys will just play music without even choosing the song. Like, they'll just hit shuffle on a random playlist, and the song that's playing could have no value being provided to them right then and there. If you're just blasting music all the time, your dopamine receptors just kick off once you hear music being played, and as a result, you're going to have to feel as if you need to listen to music all the time, or you don't have that boost of energy, or you don't have that motivation, or just the desire to want to do something. It's very similar to a caffeine addiction, where those people that say, oh, I'm not the same person without my morning coffee, or if I don't have my morning coffee, don't talk to me. Don't put yourself in that situation, and just be very mindful of the music you play prior to the setting that you're going to enter, or the state of mind that you need to be in. The final topic that you guys need to really understand that has a huge impact on you is the people you have around you. You're constantly hearing your friends' thoughts, their beliefs, their dreams, their morals. Everything that they say to you goes into your brain, and you kind of register it, and it will either sit there or you will kick it out depending on how you feel about the situation. But if all the guys around you are saying something that you don't necessarily agree with, eventually they will push your opinion out of the way, and you'll start to believe that what they're doing is right, or there's not such a big deal with that. So you have to surround yourself with the guys you want to be like. They got to have the dreams that you want, the exercise routines that you want, the desirable outcomes. Everything you want in them has to be pretty much aligned with what you want for yourself. It's going to be difficult sometimes, because you will notice that some guys prefer certain leisure activities that you do not, but everything else that they do checks the box. So you're going to contemplate whether it would be better for you to kick them out of your close circle and try to find a replacement. But you will notice how difficult it will be to find someone similar to that caliber in terms of hitting all the stuff that person hit. So you need to really weigh in and understand that you might not like to do something on your leisure time, but if it's legal and the other person likes doing it, you might have to be okay with it. You shouldn't feel pressure that you also have to start that activity, or that you have to hang out with that person when they do that certain activity. For example, if you don't drink, and one of your closest friends, super successful, and he's doing the same major as you in college, you guys have similar futures, you guys have similar dreams, but one thing you don't like about him is that he consumes alcohol. He's not an alcoholic. He just has a beer every once in a while, or he'll go to a local bar every once in a while. But you don't like to drink, and he doesn't force you to drink with him, and he doesn't make you feel like any less of a man because you don't drink. Then you have to weigh in if it's that really that big of a detriment. Just because he likes that one little thing shouldn't be a reason you kick him out of your life. You know, I feel like all we hear now on the internet is trying to find the perfect friends to surround yourself with. And that's true. You do have to find that perfect circle. But just because one little thing that you, for some reason, have been programmed not to like, whether it's from either your internal beliefs, external beliefs, just because you don't do that one thing, you can't be friends with this person. You can't respect them as much as you used to. You can't give them the same time that you used to. And you have to be very mindful of the fact that they are a product of everything they consume, and you are a product of everything that you consume. You consume stuff that constantly says how bad alcohol is, and it makes you never want to drink alcohol. But you have a buddy who doesn't watch as much as that content, and he just enjoys margaritas whenever he goes out occasionally to certain restaurants. You can't immediately cut him off or think any less of him, because there's things that you do that I promise that he doesn't necessarily do. You might play video games, and he might think video games is the biggest waste in time, but you're still able to manage the rest of your life with that little bit of gratification. And he's able to manage his life and his future with that little bit of gratification. That's just kind of a balance you have to weigh in, and you have to understand that it's okay because everybody has their luxuries. As long as they're not making you feel any less about yourself and damaging your future, do not cut them out. I've seen a lot of people lose really good friends because there's just that one little thing that they do not agree with because they don't personally do. And they don't even talk to the other person about it. And they just cut that person off, and now they just lost a really good friend. So understand that just because you think the certain way you do now doesn't mean you will in the future. And the way you think isn't the same as how other successful men think necessarily. There are commonalities that you need to have, but certain differences is what make you human. Certain differences gives you stuff to talk about and just different stuff to try eventually if it might be beneficial for you in the future. For example, if your best friend loves to rock climb, but you hate rock climbing, you think it's a super waste of time and you'd rather do other stuff, eventually you might try it and you might like it. So there could be situations or scenarios where it is actually beneficial, but in terms of those little things of gratification, if it's really overbearing to you and you know you would never want anybody in your circle to do it, then okay, by all means cut them off. But if it's one thing that isn't too much of a detriment to yourself and it's not going to hurt yourself in the future, it's not worth it 99% of the time.